What's going on, everybody? So before I get into today's video, I want to do a quick plug of my merch because I never do that, and I figure that now that I finally have some of my own in, I want to share it with you guys because I think it's pretty cool. So the first main shirt that I have out there is this one that you see right here. It's just the plain logo in a variety of different colors. This one happens to be blue. And then the second option out there is aimed most specifically for you Saab subscribers out there, or you Saab-scribers as some of you like to call yourselves. So go check out both shirts. They're both on my website, which are linked down below in the description. And of course, the stickers and decals that I have are still on there as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. So I bought this Miata just about a year ago, and I did a recap about a month ago talking about how this car has been a pain for me at times. This car was bought sort of as a project car in a way. You know, I knew there were a lot of things wrong with it. I knew that it needed some work, and that's part of the reason why it was a bit cheaper. I only paid $1,000 for it. So in today's video, I want to talk about why I spent almost $1,000, or as much as I paid for the car, just to upgrade the cooling system, and if it was worth it. Now, the cooling system on this car from factory is good, but in this hot desert climate, it could be better. So the factory radiator for these cars is actually only one row, and of course it does come with 2 fans. But when I bought this car, it had some aftermarket fans on it. One of them didn't work at all, and that's why the AC didn't work until recently. And the other one kind of wobbled a bit when it did work, so it made a little bit of noise. So it was clear that they needed to be replaced. So instead of just replacing the fans, I decided to also replace the radiator. And along with the radiator and the fan shroud, I thought, why not replace the radiator hoses as well? Because this car has left me stranded twice with busted radiator hoses. If for some reason it were to overheat again, I didn't want to be stranded again and have to pay $100 to have it towed. So I'm gonna stop showing myself, and I'll show you guys the car now and under the hood here. So as I said, the stock radiator was only one row, so it was very thin, and the fan shroud also was much smaller than this one. As you can see, Mishimoto radiator and Mishimoto radiator cap. Now the radiator cap is rated for a much higher pressure, which of course the Mishimoto hoses, you can see one of them right there and the other one right down there, the 2 red hoses. So those are both rated to hold a much higher pressure. So this radiator is a 3-row radiator, which means it's basically 3 times the size of the factory radiator, and these fans are also much bigger. They spin much faster. They're just much more powerful and much better overall. So I installed this system when I did the timing belt and water pump replacement a few months ago, and now that it is officially in summer and it's like 110 degrees out today, and I have driven it plenty of miles with this very hot temperature, some of those miles pretty hard, I can say that it has definitely done its job and then some. Now of course you have your temperature gauge in every car where, you know, you have cold, then you have hot, and then you have the middle, which is usually where it sits. In this car with this cooling system, it actually sits like right here. It sits below normal, which I think is really cool. No matter how hard I drive it for how long, it stays right there. It does not even get up to right here. So I just think that that's really cool, and just kind of kudos to Mishimoto for that. Now, they also had an option to get a Mishimoto thermostat, but I replaced the thermostat when I bought the car, so I figured no real point to buy an aftermarket one that just costs more money when the current one is perfectly fine. So I'll just do a quick price breakdown on this real quick. The radiator itself was about $430. The fan shroud was almost $250, and the hoses were about $150. Include shipping with all that, and it was over $900. Now, that is probably a bit more than I should have spent, but at the time that I bought this, I was pretty frustrated with the car and just wanted to make sure that there was zero reason for it to overheat ever again. And sure enough, since I've installed this, it has been flawless. And of course the rest of the motor on the car is stock, and I do have plans to keep it that way for now. But let's say down the road, if I want to turbocharge it in a year or two, if I still have the car, I won't need to worry about upgrading the radiator or anything. I mean, this is pretty much the biggest radiator that you can get for this car. And when I'm talking about size, now you guys can see that this is a pretty small motor. This is a 1.8 liter motor, and the stock radiator and fan shroud probably ended about right here, but the current radiator and fan shroud end under this intake bar, whatever you want to call it. So this was actually a pretty tight fit in some spaces to get in. Now, of course, this radiator is made for this car. It's made to fit. So if you have a 1.6 and you buy this radiator and fan shroud, you'll have no problems. But with the 1.8, there is a something for the steering that goes across the bottom, kind of parallel to the axle here, that actually is basically rubbing against the bottom of these two fans right here. And that's it's basically touching it. I wouldn't say it's rubbing, actually. It's extremely close, and I haven't felt any difference. I was worried that it was going to affect my steering some way or another, but it hasn't. So again, zero downsides to this system so far. So one of the upsides from buying from Mishimoto directly versus going with a third-party source is that Mishimoto offers a full lifetime warranty on their products. So if one of the radiator hoses breaks, or let's say the radiator or when the fan stops working, I don't know why, then I can get it replaced for free. So if any of you are Miata people out there, I know I have a few Miata subscribers, and you have your stock cooling system, and especially if you live in a hotter climate like this and you like to drive your car hard, I would definitely recommend considering upgrading your radiator. Now, if you don't live in such a hot climate, you'd definitely be good with the 2-row radiator, but I went with the 3-row just to be extra safe. And honestly, even in this climate, the 2-row probably would have been fine with the fan shroud. At this point, guys, I'm gonna stop rambling. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. A link for it will be in the description. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. I'll see you all next time.